Hello and welcome to Finextra Post Sibos, and today I'm speaking to Neil Burton of Earthport. So Neil, what were the delegates talking about at this year's Sibos?
There were a couple of things that were particularly high on the agenda. I think the really big one was the centre of gravity had shifted to Asian trade, to South-South trade routes. There was a great deal of discussion about the renminbi as a settlement currency, about the different characteristics that are inherent in the trade that is going on across those corridors. I was particularly taken with one session, one of the corporate sessions, in which the moderators, Boston Consulting Group, I think, talked about three characteristics that were particularly strong. One is the very fast growth in open account trade in the region, which is looking to, they're predicting, will grow by a factor of almost 3 by 2020. That's huge growth. The second one was the real importance of small to medium enterprises. I didn't know, but in China, 78% of exports are driven by SMEs. And the third one was the fragmentation of supply chains. So the bottom end of the traditional supply chain curve that we're used to, the bottom end is much fatter, is much thicker in the region. So we're seeing a great deal more demand for lower value transfers in that kind of trade. The panel talked about getting back to basics and doing the right things right. Clearly that's going to create demand for new services, better services and new services in open account payments and transfers going forward. So the second thing was just the sheer number of banks talking about needing to leverage local clearing schemes, local ACHs, addressing that low value payment space. If you go back 5 years, it would probably have been thought to be a niche and probably not hugely interesting. This year, just about every bank that we spoke to was active in that low value area, either from the research level, but in many cases they've now got product executives who are focused on that low value area. It was picked up extensively in various sessions of the conference. The Future of Money session talked about it a great deal, the need to leverage things that are already established and working, to reuse the rail tracks, if you like, which has been a common theme over a number of Siboses. In our view, a utility model works very well to service this part of the market, just as utilities are used for domestic ACH. It seems a logical thing to do the same thing internationally. Earthport presented on that together with Vocal in a community session on Thursday morning.
Weren't a lot of delegates also discussing transparency and Dodd-Frank and 1073?
Yes, 1073 was perhaps the theme of the whole week. And Earthport did a co-presentation on that with PNC Bank on Monday morning, which was packed out. It was, I think, it was gratifying to see that a lot of the participants were from non-US banks. As you know, the regulation is predominantly about the US or solely about the US, and it is mainly about consumer-initiated payments. But we had a lot of questions at the end of the session. It's clear that banks in other countries see it as something that is, if it doesn't affect them now, it's likely to affect them in the future. And a lot of the questions it was also clear that people think it is not going to be limited to consumer payments, that it's going to bleed over fairly quickly into SME and corporate payments as well. So I think that theme of transparency is going to continue for the future. So
now that Sibos 2012 in Osaka is behind us, what can we look forward to Sibos 2013 in Dubai?
Oh, I think Dubai is going to be fascinating. There are unique characteristics to payments in that region. There are an awful lot of remittances, an awful lot of P2P transactions, and that has generated a great deal of innovation in mobile payments. So I think those will be major themes going forward. And of course, by then we'll be on the far side, if you like, of the go-live date for Dodd-Frank 1073, and we'll be within sight of the SEPA end date. So it will be interesting to see which of those two is prevalent.